All right, let's jump right in. We're about to explore a really profound and honestly pretty mind-bending meditation technique that comes out of Korean Seon Buddhism. And this is a practice that's not really about finding your quiet place. No, it's designed to completely shatter your normal way of thinking. So everything kicks off with this question. It was posed over 1,000 years ago by a monk to the great Zen Master Zhaozhou. Now, basic Buddhist teaching says that all beings, every single one, have this potential for enlightenment, right? This Buddha nature. So you'd think the answer is a pretty straightforward yes. The monk asks him point blank, does a dog have Buddha nature? And the master's response? Just one single word, mu. In Chinese, this basically means no or nothingness. It's a total, flat-out denial of what should be a core Buddhist belief. And you know what? With that one cryptic syllable, one of the most powerful tools in all of Zen was born. Okay, so here's the twist, and this is crucial. This little back and forth, it isn't a philosophical question for you to answer. It's actually the most famous example of something called a Hwadu. And a Hwadu is a tool designed specifically to short-circuit your logical mind. See, the whole point of wrestling with mu isn't to figure out why the master said it. The point is to use that very confusion, that paradox, to build up a huge mental barrier inside your own head. They call it the wall of the patriarchs, and it's a wall you can't think your way over. You have to smash right through it. So let's get really clear on what this Hwadu, actually is, because it is the absolute heart of this whole practice. A Hwadu is basically a critical phrase, and it's almost always plucked from an old story about a Zen master. But here's the thing. You don't analyze it. You don't try to solve it like a math problem. You are meant to completely inhabit it. You live with the paradox until your thinking mind just gives up. It just runs out of road. So think of it this way. A Hwadu is the polar opposite of a riddle. A riddle is an invitation for your intellect. It wants you to be clever and follow the path, the mind road, to a neat answer. A Hwadu does the exact opposite. It's designed to completely cut that road, to blow up the path of logic itself and force you somewhere else entirely. So, how does this actually feel? What are you doing when you practice this? Well, engaging with a Hwadu is not a passive thing at all. It's this incredibly intense, active process of building up something called great doubt. There's this fantastic analogy they use, the medicine pill. So first you take the pill. You start with the Hwadu, mu. After a while, the pill itself dissolves. You're not even consciously thinking the word mu anymore, but its medicinal power, that pure energy of doubt it created, is now flowing through your system, working to cure the illness of your everyday conceptual mind. And this doubt, it's meant to grow and grow until it's all there is. We're not talking about a skeptical, I don't believe you kind of doubt. It's a deep, existential, what is this? That gets so powerful it pushes out every other thought, every feeling, until you literally become one single, giant, vibrating question mark. And to give you a sense of the intensity we're talking about, get this. There are these stories, like one about a monk named Gasan, who got so completely lost in his Hwadu that for 6 straight days, he had no idea if he'd even eaten. His entire universe had shrunk down to just that single point of doubt. And this leads us to the core equation of the whole practice. It's believed that the bigger your breakthrough, the deeper your doubt has to be. You know, a small nagging question might get you a small little insight, but a great doubt, a doubt that takes over your entire being, that's what holds the potential for a truly great enlightenment. Now, you can probably guess, this is not the kind of thing you just try on your own from a book. This journey is confusing, it's incredibly intense, and it's full of dead ends, which is exactly why a teacher isn't just helpful. They're considered absolutely essential. I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? How do you know if what you're doing is creating that real transformative doubt, or if you're just spinning your wheels, endlessly repeating a word in your head? From inside your own mind, how could you possibly tell the difference? The simple answer is you can't. That's the whole job of the senshi shik, the knowing advisor or Zen master. This person is so much more than a teacher. They're a spiritual guide who has already walked this path and can see exactly where you are, especially when you're completely lost. So what do? Well, they're constantly checking to see if your practice is live, a dynamic, burning question, or if it's dead, just an empty, repeated word. They use what are called skillful means, sometimes doing shocking or unexpected things just to knock you out of a mental rut. They push you when you get lazy, and they show you a way forward when you think you've hit a dead end. And because of all this, the student has to have just absolute, rock-solid faith. The old texts even talk about being ready to face the master's harsh beatings, whether that's a sharp word or a symbolic challenge, and trusting completely that their only goal is to help you shatter your own self-imposed limits. So what happens when it all comes to a head? When that doubt has been stoked into a raging fire, and the master gives that final, critical push? Well, that's when you finally arrive at what they call the Mu Gate. In this final stage, the Hwadu isn't even a question anymore. It becomes this totally impenetrable thing. The old texts describe it as a mountain of silver, a wall of iron. Every single path your mind could take is blocked. You have absolutely nowhere left to go. You are completely cornered by Mu. And when you're trapped in that state with nowhere to turn, you finally realize there is no clever answer. There's no secret password. There is no logical key that's going to open this gate. The goal is simply a breakthrough. A sudden, explosive, non-intellectual shattering of that entire wall of questioning and self. It doesn't come down brick by brick. The whole thing just vaporizes in an instant. And in that moment, that's when you're said to finally understand, not with your brain, but by directly experiencing the exact same state of mind that Master Zhaozhou was in. You see his original face, and you just know from the inside out exactly why he said Mu. You see, this whole practice isn't about getting a new piece of information. It's about a total transformation of the person who's asking the question in the first place, which of course leaves us with the ultimate Hwadu. What lies on the other side of that gate?